Hey guys, what's up? I'm gonna do a couple reviews for you today on the XM-18 and the Hinderer Flashpoint. I'll start off by reviewing the XM-18, and I have two of them here that are a little bit different to show you. I'm just going to go over a few of the main features you'll see on all of the production Hinderer knives, Hinderer XM-18s. One thing you're going to notice is the standoffs. Rather than having a solid back spacer, as you would see on Strider SNGs or SMFs or anything like that, I really have no preference between the standoffs and the solid backspacer. Hinderers are just as solid as a Strider, so there's really no concern about the strength and well-being or well-build of the knife. So that's just a preference. Another thing you'll know is obviously you have the solid slab of titanium with the lock bar. This is a frame lock, obviously. Very well. I love the frame lock. Probably my favorite way to lock a knife up. You have your ceramic ball detent. I don't know if you can see it. Ball detent in there, right there. You also have your, on the topic of the lock, you have your Hinderer lock bar stabilizer right under there, and I think it's a great little feature. Rick made a little write-up of it, of why he thinks you should have it on knives. It's a good read, so if you have time, go ahead and read that. Obviously, like any Hinderer, I can't get that into view. Very centered blade, rock solid lockup. So then you have your jimping on the handles and the blade, just as you would see with a Strider. You have your spanner pivot. It's a little bit smaller than a Strider's. What are some other? Oh yes, on the pocket clip you'll notice that it's reversible, and you have this little insert here to place in the opposite side of your lock, so that your holes for where your lock screws in, no dust or debris gets in there, so that's a good little feature to have. Obviously, again, this is a flipper. Oops. Very smooth action on these knives. The pivot, there are two little white washers. I'm not sure on the material, there's some sort of a plastic or a rubber, but that's what you have on your washers on the pivot in there. I took this one apart. Pretty simple construction, which I like. It's good to have a simple knife because there's less chance of it failing on you. Okay, that's pretty much all the features you'll see on an XM-18. Now I'll go over individual specs. This is obviously a 3.5-inch flipper with the stonewash finish. The stonewash finish is great for not showing wear or anything like that. It's very good with rust resistance and things like that, compared to a bead blast finish, which has pores in it and it holds water a little bit, and has a little more likely to chance to rust. So that might be something you look at. I don't know, we'll get to that when I get to my bead blasted one. Black G10 handle on this side with the titanium frame on the inside, the titanium liner. You have torque screws going into the standoffs here to hold your frame together. These screws are actually rounded, if you can see that, compared to my other one, which are flat. I'll show you that in a minute. But that's the basic construction and everything with this. S30V blade, if I didn't mention that, great knife steel. Strider uses it on most of their knives. a very good steel. I have no bad experiences with it. I prefer it. Any knife I get, I'll usually get it in S30V. It's just a great all-around knife steel. Yeah, so I want to get a 3.5 inch sometime soon, so I'll do a review on that once I get one. Alright, here's the other one. This is a Bead Blast 3.5 inch flipper with the orange scale, and as I showed earlier, these screws are the same torque screws, but they're flat. I'm not sure why. Maybe he just switched around the screws. This is a little newer, and the G10 is a little bit grippier. This is pretty much mint condition. It's an excellent blade. I haven't carried it yet. I've only had it for a couple days. Just great right out of the box. Oh, the steel on this one is Duratec 20 CV steel. I'm not sure much about the steel. I've never used it, never had a knife with it. I'm sure you can do some research and check that out if you have the desire to do so. So 20 CV, a Duratec 20 CV knife steel, bead blasted frame and blade, and 3.5 inch flipper on this one. The orange scales I don't really prefer, but any chance you get with a XM-18 you might as well take it, because they're hard to come by and you can always buy a scale somewhere, so I'll probably try to find a carbon fiber scale for this one. Yeah, just great knives. As far as use goes, you can pretty much beat this thing up. Rick will stand behind it all the way. It's great for either self-defense or EDC utility blade. It's got the Spanto tip, obviously, as with most production XM-18s, razor sharp out of the box. I don't really have much hair on this arm left, but yeah, just great knife right out of the box. This one hasn't been broken in yet. It's not quite silky smooth as the stonewashed one, as I've been carrying that one for quite a while. Yeah, just a great knife. If you can come across one of these, definitely try to pick one up. I know they're expensive, but they're definitely worth the price. So yeah, that's that. Oh yes, on the production models you'll notice it says Rick Hinderer, or R. Hinderer, up on the top of the lock side of the frame, compared to a custom version which will have it actually written on the blade. So if you want to distinguish the custom versions versus the production models, that is how you would tell them apart, and you can usually tell when they are custom or hand ground blades. I would like to find a custom Rick Hinderer XM-18, but they're kind of hard to find right now too, so productions are hard enough to find, but if you can find one, definitely pick one up. They are an outstanding knife. I switch between my XM-18 and a Strider SNG, which I just sent to the spa, so right now I'm just carrying the XM-18, and it's definitely doing everything I need it to do. So definitely pick one of these up if you get the chance. Outstanding blade. Definitely recommended. Oh, and one more thing. When you're carrying it, you'll notice the blade actually leans forward in your grip a little bit, so it's actually tilted up a little bit, or however you'd hold it. And I think that would be better for if you are using it as a self-defense weapon for slashing, because then you don't have to mess with your wrist so much, and you're pretty much just naturally flowing through, and the blade will do whatever you need it to do. As far as slashing goes, I don't use this as a self-defense or anything. I usually carry a Surefire E2 DL or a Emerson Karambit for that, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, great knife for whatever you need it for, so definitely recommended. Go ahead and pick one up if you get the chance. Now to the Hinderer Flashpoint, a little smaller as you can see, and right away you'll notice I have mine attached to paracord. And what I do is, instead of wearing it as a neck knife, well, I do, but I wear it a little differently. I wear it down to my hip on this paracord under my shirt, and it's right here, right by my hip for access. So for me, it's a little quicker to access. That's just a little something I came up with to make it easier for me to grab it when I need it. It's just a last resort knife for me, though. I have been EDCing it, however, and it's lightweight. You don't even notice when you're wearing it. Another thing I do on these holes on the Kydex, I hook a little elastic band onto it and clip it to my loops on my jeans, and that holds it right in place when I have it hooked over me, and it doesn't move or anything, because when you bend over without the elastic bands, it kind of messes with your shirt a little bit, and some people don't like to see you carrying a knife or whatever. It's not a bad thing, but some people are just, I don't know, they have a problem with knives. Whatever, we won't talk about that. Okay, to the knife. This is a bead blasted finish with the blue G10 scales, and it has the Torx screws in the handles, so you can swap them out or take them off, whichever you prefer. Bead blasted finish, if I didn't mention that already. And this Flashpoint is hand ground by Rick himself. I don't know if all of them are for sure. That's what I've been told, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Obviously, like any Hinderer, razor sharp right out of the box. Just a great all-around knife. It's nice and small and compact. Feels great in the hand. I am considering switching this to my primary EDC right now, because a lot of my bigger knives, like the XM-18 and SNG, are a little bit of an overkill for many tasks I do. I usually don't need to pry open doors or chop anything open, this would pretty much do any task you would want it to do. So I might pick up another one of these to EDC for my primary, but I can't really see myself not carrying XM-18 or an SNG. I absolutely love both of those blades, and yeah, it'd just be kind of tough. You got your lanyard hole here. I usually don't use lanyards unless it's like deep carry in my pocket and I need to grab it out of my pocket. I'll let it lanyard with a bead hang out of my pocket. I usually only do that with my Strider PT. Otherwise, I have really no reason for a lanyard other than decoration on a couple of knives. So yeah, that's that. Really don't have much else to say. CPM 154 cm blade steel on this one. Great knife steel. You'll see Ernest Emerson use that on all of his, or most of his knives. Just a great blade steel. I'm sure all of you know. You probably have a knife or two with it. Easy to sharpen and holds an edge pretty well. Good corrosion resistance. So that's a good knife steel for this blade. I'm sorry I don't know the exact blade length on this. I never really checked into that, but I will look into it for you and put it on the information in the side of this video. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that in the link in the side. Also, if you want to find one of these, the only place I can find one right now is mattdtactical.com. That's where I got mine. Great place to buy from. They have all kinds of good stuff to check out. So go ahead and check them out if you want to look into one of these. Run you about $200 right now. As far as buying an XM-18, the only place you're probably going to find one is the forum. I got both of mine off the USN from guys in the Cove. I haven't had any problems dealing with anybody on there. It's just a great community, so I appreciate that. So yeah, that's about all I got to say right now for you guys. So hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day. Take care. See you in the future.